Hello to everybody who's watching this. I'm going to demonstrate the controller that comes with the Piper Make. If that's the Hello everybody, I'm going to demonstrate the Piper Make controller. What we're going to do is we're going to first just go to the Piper Make site and scroll down. We have a controller tutorial. I'm going to use that to get the build instructions for the tutorial. I'm actually going to skip the cute little video here, even though it's fantastic and I highly recommend it. And I've been in here before, which is why you see some blocks, because this is my old project. But what I'm interested in is using these instructions right here to help me get it built. The first thing it does is tell me to grab my Pico, to grab 5 of these jumper wires. I didn't pull them apart, but you could if you wanted. And the PCBA, or the printed circuit board assembly, that goes with the controller. And then you'll also need the pieces that come with the controller, and that includes a screwdriver, some washers, some short screws, and some long screws. Now, building the controller is actually pretty easy. The instructions will tell you that these washers may be optional, especially if they didn't come with your kit. And after having put this together once already, I also know that it might actually fits better without the washers, so I'm going to skip those. But I am going to grab everything else out of the kit here, the screwdriver and the screws. And I need the short ones to start to help me get the controller printed circuit board onto the base plate. So I put that, basically just line it up with the holes, and then put a screw in each corner. There. Oops. And there. So now this is on there. And then if I keep going with the instructions, it's actually going to suggest that I connect to my controller, because this way you can see the labels on the board and which wires they should connect to. And so I'm going to grab my 5 jumper wires and just connect them according to the instructions. I'm just going to connect my wires right up. Just put them all one in a row here. So there's the first 2. Oops. Of course, when you try to record a video, you always get nervous and then you get fumble fingers. But that's okay. We'll get it. All right, so there's that. And then we'll connect it to the Pico on the breadboard. And so if I look here, the first wire over here needs to connect to, flip this around, a ground pin. And these can be a little bit tricky, but what you can do is you can expand this out, and then we can count over on some pins. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then the first one on the controller connects basically after the third, so we can do that. And that would be on this side. So it will go green, yellow, orange, starting in the 4th hole there. Like that. So I've got 3 holes, and then my wires start. And then I skip one, and then I put this one in, because that's one on the end. And then the red wire goes straight across, and there are 4 holes, and then I plug it in the 5th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then into the 5th one right there. All right, so now this is connected. My controller's connected, so I can continue building the rest of my controller. I'll just close that. And so then it actually has a nice little thing here that explains how it works and how shift registers work, and that's what these 2 chips are. But what we're going to do is just put the rest of the pieces on here. And the way this works is these are just spacers that will make the top of the controller even with those button surfaces, so that when we put this one on, you actually get a really nice tactile click. I'm going to pull this up to the microphone so you can hear it, but you get a really nice click when you push on that. And then from here, just 2 screws. Just 1 and 2 on the other side. Screw that one in, and screw that one in. And there we have it. Now, if you continue following this tutorial, it just walks you through how to build a really basic controller that will either emulate, I'm just going to keep clicking buttons here, but there's code here that lets you emulate either keystrokes by pressing buttons or emulate mouse movement using the buttons, because the Pico is capable of the USB HID protocol, which allows it to emulate a keyboard or a mouse. And so there's some interesting blocks in here that let you look, for instance, was the controller's up button pressed? And if so, what should I do with that? Should I send a signal? So one of the things that we could actually do, and let's just go ahead and delete these just because I can demonstrate something at least really quickly, is we've got the setup controller pin blocks, and then I can use sensing, and I can look, was the controller's up button pressed? Oops, I have to read the controller pins before I can use that block. And then I will grab an if block. Actually, I'll grab an if else. So was the controller's up button pressed? And then I can use, under chip, I can turn on the LED that is already the onboard LED on the Raspberry Pi Pico. And if it was pressed, then go ahead and choose 25, turn it on. And if it wasn't pressed, turn it off. All right, so then let's just connect the USB to the computer. Give me a second to do that. That one plugs in there. This one plugs in here. And I should just be able to click connect. Yep, Pico shows up in the list because it's connected. And then click start. And now, when I press the up button, a little hard to see on the camera, but when I press the up button on my controller and turn on the LED on the Pico. So this is a quick way to test. You get kind of immediate gratification, like, yes, I did it right. I hooked up my controller correctly. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back. I'm going to stop this. And then I'm going to go back to my projects because I have some more advanced code that is specifically mapped to using the controller in Minecraft. And we've done kind of an initial mapping so that this will work with Minecraft for Education. So we took all of the different functions from Minecraft and mapped them to different buttons and wrote a program. And this is collapsed right now, but for example, checking buttons like 5, 6, 9, and 10 is all handled in this check remaining buttons block. And you can see it's just, was the controller button pressed? If so, press the space bar, and if it wasn't pressed, release the space bar. And it's a lot of code because there's a lot of different buttons to manage, but it's not particularly complex code. We can collapse that one. It does get a little trickier because we had to use some modifier buttons. So for example, if I want one function, I would hold down one button and then click this to get the equivalent of a right click. And then if I let go of it and press it, I get the equivalent of a left click. And so that took a little more code to manage, but again, not terrible. And we're using some variables to manage the state in order to make that happen. But just to show you that, prove out that this kind of works, what I've got is I will connect this and get it running. so that the controller starts doing what I expect it to do. So now the controller is going to behave like the program shows as long as this is running. And then if I open up Minecraft for Education and put this on screen, right now I'm just using my mouse, but if I resume my game, I apologize, it's in nighttime right now, but I can basically strafe, I can go back and forth, I can attack, I can place a block, I can run around here, I can hold down the modifier, and I can turn as if I'm using my mouse. I can go through my inventory using the 7 button here. I apologize, I should make it so that, here, let me move this so you can actually see me press buttons on my controller while I'm playing the little game here. There we go. Let's resume that and go back to using the controller here so you can see. You know, this basically behaves just like you would expect a game controller to behave. Like I said, I started my little world here in creative mode, and I well, I was putting everything together. It turned out to be nighttime, but you hopefully get the idea here. I can run around and smash stuff. I am not a Minecraft player, so I apologize if my gameplay is particularly atrocious here. And then, like I said, I can go through these. I can hit the modifier button and go the other direction. I can go to my inventory. Basically, we tried to build in all of the functionality that you would expect in the game. And so hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this demonstrates what the controller does. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate your time.